Hi, it's author Ellie Alexander. I hope this Friday is treating you well. We have some sun here in the Pacific Northwest, and I had to get outside because, just a little hit of sun and blue sky is good for the soul, right? I am thrilled to have new pages in our collaborative story project, A Brunch with Death, to share with you. You guys had the best ideas when it came to productions. That's the closest vote I think we've ever had. Our vote came down to Taming of the Shrew, or some version of Kiss Me Kate, which is basically the same play, right, in musical form, and The Merry Wives of Windsor. Kiss Me Kate eked out The Merry Wives by literally like 2 votes, I think. So good job on that. And then, of course, we have Tony and Richard and this mysterious French chef who now it seems like might not be a French chef. We'll have to find out. If you haven't followed along, each week I have been sharing pages like I'm going to today, and then offering up a choice to you, the readers. We are building this story together. I have no idea where it's going. You have no idea where it's going, but that is the magic and fun in this project. It's been such a good distraction for me, and I hope it has been for you. So, without further ado, let's get to part 3 of A Brunch with Death. Tony, Tone, relax, babe. Richard stood in an attempt to appease her. It didn't work. She stormed toward him and without hesitating, proceeded to slap him across the face, hard. I gasped. If only Juliet could be here to see this. It took tapping into my acting reserves not to let a snarky comment slip out. You are the worst, Richard. How could you? Tony thrust a gaudy, hot pink nail in his face. Richard recoiled. You hired that idiot French chef, Pierre, even after I told you not to? Hey, relax. Richard held his hands up in surrender. It's no big deal. Pierre's in charge of the kitchen. You're going to be the star of the show. You won't even see him. Tony huffed. You should have told me. I never would have taken this job if I knew Pierre was going to be breathing the same air as me. I couldn't stifle a chuckle. This was better than Shakespeare. Tony whipped her head around, noticing me for the first time. Who's he? She said to Richard. Tony, let me introduce you to your new director, Lance. Her persona shifted immediately. She tossed her hair with one hand, stuck out her chest, and plastered on a smile so sweet that it made my teeth hurt. Lance, how wonderful. I'm absolutely delighted to meet you. Richard has told me so much about you and your little theater here in Ashland. I hear you're doing great things. Quite innovative for such a tiny town. She held her hand, palm up. I assumed for me to kiss it. No. How dare she belittle the festival? When I didn't return the gesture, she swept her hand in front of her face, not missing a beat. We have much to discuss. I've already reviewed the script and made extensive notes. I'm not sure how much Richard has told you yet, but I've been in the biz, as we insiders like to say, for a while. She winked, making the layers of makeup around her eyes crinkle. You'll likely want to review my thoughts on blocking and lighting. We can talk through casting. I've done the show a number of times and can lend some invaluable insight into who should play Petruchio and Lucencio. You have to cast them correctly, otherwise the entire production goes south. Come again? I looked to Richard for input. Tony blew air from her nostrils. Richard, have you told him nothing? Richard gulped and moved back a step. He was probably worried that she would slap him again, rightfully so. His left cheek was splotched and red. Her fingers had left a mark. Babe, I was about to, but you burst in. She folded her arms across her chest. I didn't burst. Are you going to tell him or should I? Go ahead, Richard encouraged. These two deserved each other. Had Richard Lord finally met his match? Tony regained her composure and offered me a saccharine grin. Dearest Lance, you and I are going to put on the best show that Ashland has ever seen. Between my acting talent and depth and understanding, and of course some of your insight, we'll be delighting guests here at the world-renowned Mary Windsor to a mind-blowing rendition of the one and only Kiss Me Kate. Really? I looked to Richard again. He shifted uncomfortably. I was getting to that. You know the play, right? I guess it's a modern take on one of Shakespeare's plays or something. Or something? You're referring to Taming of the Shrew, I said, pressing my finger and thumb together to force myself not to launch into every reason I wanted nothing to do with this farce. Remember, Lance, OSF needs the cash. Yeah, that's it. Like Tony said, she's done it in Reno for years. I'm sure you two will have plenty to talk about. I'm sure. I plastered on a smile. I had to get out of here. My neck felt hot, and if I couldn't figure out a way to pull this off, I was going to say something I might regret. Well, perhaps not regret, but something that would ensure Richard never donated another dime to the festival again. I glanced at my watch. I'm due back at the Bomer. Perhaps we should reconvene and discuss later? You bet. Richard tugged on his pants and sat back down. He picked up a fountain pen and held it above his desk calendar. How about happy hour, 5 p.m.? Pierre's working on a new menu. You can be the first to give it a try. Lovely. I made a quick escape. As I shut the door behind me, I could hear Tony laying into Richard again. What had I done? Clearly, I was selling my soul to the devil. I squared my shoulders and headed for the exit. Was money worth it? There must be another way to raise some cash. But then again, it was a lot of cash. Before I made it to the lobby, I heard the sound of 2 men arguing. Shocker. Clearly, the Merry Windsor brought out the best in people. I stopped when I got closer and spotted Pierre and the front desk clerk nose to nose. I know what you did and you're not going to get away with it, the clerk yelled. He had risen from his seat behind the reception desk. If it weren't for the foul green carpet and fluorescent lighting, I might have actually believed I was watching a scene written by the bard himself. The clerk's puffy shirt and pantaloons fluttered as he spit out the threat. Pierre took off his white chef's hat and tipped it in a bow with flourish. Ha! What are you going to do? Spike my soup with poison? He had no trace of a French accent. Yeah, great idea. Thanks for the suggestion. That's exactly what I'm going to do if you don't get out of here and leave town for good, the clerk bantered. Pierre laughed in his face. I'm not going anywhere. I cleared my throat and stepped into the lobby. Excuse me, gentlemen, I don't mean to interrupt, just on my way out. I pointed to the door and practically sprinted outside. I breathed in the earthy fall air. What was going on at Richard's hotel? Why was the front desk clerk threatening the chef? I started toward the Shakespeare stairs, but I stopped. Should I return to my office? Or should I pop into Torch for a latte and a pastry? I hadn't intended to tell Juliet about my involvement with Richard's ridiculous production, but I was having second thoughts. This was a train wreck. She would love it. But was it fair to involve her? Okay, that's where part 3 of our story collaboration, A Brunch with Death, leaves off. Just like last week, I have 2 questions for you. Put on your thinking caps, get those creative juices running. The first thing that I want to know is, why is the front desk clerk threatening Pierre? What are they fighting about? Question number 2 is, what should Lance do? Should he head down the plaza and pop into Tort and tell Juliet about this disaster? Or should he return up the Shakespeare stairs and take care of this himself? I cannot wait to see what you come up with. You can share your comments, your thoughts, your ideas across all my social media channels or on my website, and you have until Sunday evening to get those in. And if you need a refresher, you can watch all of the videos here, or if you're new to our story collaboration, you can start from the beginning and have a sense of why we are at the dreaded Merry Windsor Hotel. As always, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the bell to get notified whenever I share new videos. Happy plotting!